Hello guys, welcome to your Ghostly Screen channel. Today you're going to watch the breakdown of the supernatural horror movie Good Boy, released just now in 2025, directed by Ben Leinberg. It's one of the most searched horror movies of the year because it's the first film of its kind. As soon as the news came out, people started searching, and I'll tell you the exact search term at the end, along with a bunch of unheard facts related to the movie. For now, I'll just say this movie was marketed as the first horror movie that we'll watch from a dog's POV. Although we can't exactly call it a POV, the whole focus is on the dog. We'll see things from his side, like how people say dogs can see spirits, or that they can sense them first by smell or hearing. All those interesting new things are shown here. So, without wasting time, let's quickly start the breakdown. The movie starts at night. We see a dog named Indy, whose owner Todd is sitting like he's very sick or possessed. Still, the focus isn't on him, it's on Indy and how he's reacting. Because in the corner of the house, he sees a dark figure, like a human shadow, and the house lights are flickering. Todd's sister, Vyra, is calling him again and again, but Todd isn't doing anything, just sitting completely still. Indy is very worried for him when suddenly Todd starts coughing up blood. Good thing Vyra, who was already worried, came to his house herself. Because of that, he reached the hospital in time. Here too, Indy's reaction is confused. Sometimes he looks at Todd, sometimes toward that corner. That was the opening of the movie. After this, through tapes, we're shown Indy's entire journey, how Todd brought him home when he was a puppy. Todd raised him like his own child, which is why there's an unbreakable bond between them. Todd never kept Indy away from him. But when he was admitted to the hospital, in the meantime, Vyra kept Indy. Even then, she kept taking Indy to the hospital to meet Todd. Todd has a chronic lung disease, because of which he sometimes coughs blood and also has trouble breathing. But there's a paranormal angle too. We saw that as well, only because of Indy's perspective. If we were seeing Todd's perspective, we wouldn't know this till the end of the movie. But here, we knew it in the opening itself because the dog sensed it. That's the difference in this movie. From the tapes, we also learned that Indy likes watching movies, but he's scared of horror movies. Meaning, by nature, he's timid. Ironically, now he's in a horror movie. So, when Todd was discharged from the hospital, he didn't have money. On top of that, he needed fresh air. So, leaving his New York house, he shifted to his family home in the middle of the forest. But Vyra tried to stop him over the phone, because she said that house is haunted. Whoever went to live there didn't survive. Their entire family died in that house before old age. The last person living there was their grandpa, who used to live with his dog, Bandit. And Grandpa too was found dead one day in that house. The strange thing is, no one knows where Grandpa's dog Bandit went. Now, like Grandpa, Todd is also going to live in that house with his dog, on a stormy night. He hasn't even opened the property gate yet, and Indy hasn't gotten out of the car. But that shadow appears to Indy once again behind the car. But how can he tell Todd? Vyra is telling him not to go, but Todd isn't listening. He opens the gate and reaches the house, but the shadow has already reached inside before him. Indy hesitates to go inside, but he has to follow Todd. This is something we often see in horror movies. When a family shifts houses, the dog hesitates to go inside. We understand the reason, but it's never shown. Here, it's shown from the start, because this movie is from the dog's side. As soon as they reach the door, Indy hears a dog barking from the outside basement door, but Todd hears nothing. Inside, he turns on the light, but it doesn't stay on for long. So, he has to go to the basement to check the power supply. But we don't go down with him, we stay upstairs with Indy. If it were a different movie, we'd be downstairs too, where Todd smells a very foul odor. But this is the dog side movie, so we're upstairs, where Indy keeps seeing that shadow in one corner or another. After fixing the power, Todd sits to watch TV, and on TV are his grandpa's recorded tapes, in which Grandpa is playing outside the same house with his dog, Bandit. Todd does the same thing, he records tapes with Indy too, and now it's even easier on the phone. Another special thing, before Bandit, Grandpa had raised many dogs. But whichever dog he brought, one day or another, it ran away. Only Bandit didn't run. But in the end, even he wasn't found. Meanwhile, Indy has never left Todd till today, and Todd is sure he never will. Indy was lying calmly, but a sound from the TV pulled him in. It was Bandit's voice, the same voice coming from the basement. So Indy recognized it, and now he even saw Bandit. Behind the TV, that shadow is also visible. This time, Indy sets out to investigate. Roaming the house, he goes up to Grandpa's room. From the window, he sees the motion sensor light outside has come on, meaning someone's out there. He had just left the room when he hears footsteps inside, so he comes back and sees that the same shadow has come into the corner and is growing. Indy keeps watching it when Todd arrives with a lantern, and with the light, the shadow vanishes. Because of the lantern, it also has an insidious-like vibe. Next morning, the two go walking in the forest and come across the family cemetery, where Todd's whole family is buried, and, as I said, they all died very early. No one lasted more than a few weeks in this house. Farther on, Indy sits near a hollow tree. From behind comes that dark figure. But when it comes close, we see it's their neighbor Richard, out hunting foxes. He tells Todd it's fox hunting season, so be careful, because from a distance Indy looks like a fox. Anyone could mistake him, and Indy could be killed. Plus, Richard has set a lot of traps in the forest, so special attention is needed for Indy. Todd's grandpa was also a hunter, and the strange thing is, Richard was the one who found his dead body inside the house. But his dog was never found. While Todd and Richard are talking, Indy crawls into the hollow tree and finds animal skeletons and a pair of glowing eyes in front of him. In the evening, Todd goes to Richard's house and brings back his old generator, which will help Todd later. Meanwhile, Vira keeps talking to Todd on the phone because she's worried about him. She asks if Indy is behaving strangely, like looking for something that isn't there or searching for something invisible, which Indy actually is doing. But Todd doesn't pay attention. He says, "Dogs just do that." Vira replies, "Dogs can sense a lot, like illness." Todd runs the generator and lights up the outside, but even then Indy is scared, staring toward the forest. This time he's even making noises to warn Todd, but Todd hushes him. After this, Todd watches a documentary on TV that says dogs have lived with humans for centuries and can sense unseen dangers, alerting us early, which we're clearly seeing here. That night, while they're sleeping, Bandit is seen in the basement, and the dark figure comes and grabs him. This is Indy's dream. It shows that dogs also dream, they have nightmares too, and maybe those nightmares mean something. Maybe sensing danger is one of their traits. Could be more than dreams. After this nightmare, Indy is terrified. He keeps sniffing at the basement door, but Todd ignores him again. We can clearly see many paw marks behind the basement door, meaning Bandit tried very hard to get out of the basement. Early morning, Todd feeds Indy, locks him inside the house, and leaves. As soon as he leaves, Indy panics with fear. He sits at the window waiting for Todd, and just like that, night falls, but Todd doesn't return. However, voices of Bandit come from the basement, and after a while Bandit appears in front of Indy. He leads Indy to an upstairs room, where behind a wardrobe lies Bandit's old bandana. As soon as Indy touches it, he starts seeing strange things, shadows, and a mud-covered hand reaching toward him. In the end, the bandana gets soaked in blood. Seeing this, Indy backs away, and just then a shadow starts coming up from downstairs. Scared, Indy hides under the bed. But the shadow turns out to be Todd, who has returned home exhausted and sicker than before. There's a bandage on his hand, bleeding through. He lies down on the bed, but when Indy tries to snuggle him, Todd, annoyed, pushes him away. Indy quietly gets off the bed and sits nearby. Next morning, Indy goes alone to the cemetery, and there, the mud-covered man starts coming toward him. This is also Indy's dream, from which he wakes up because of a noise in the house. In front of him are muddy footprints leading downstairs, and Todd isn't on the bed. Indy goes down and sees Todd, senseless, repeatedly banging his head on the basement door, bleeding from his forehead. But he isn't conscious. Indy licks his hand and finally Todd comes to. Again, if it were another movie, we'd be shown Todd's side. Why he came downstairs, how he went there, and why he did that. As soon as he wakes, Todd opens the basement door once, but without going in, closes it again and goes upstairs. Next morning, Todd plays his grandpa's tape on TV, and we learn Grandpa had the same illness Todd has now. And after coming to this house, his condition got much worse. Grandpa had left this house in Todd's name, though Grandpa himself regretted living there. Todd's behavior has become very irritable. He isn't treating Indy well, nor Vyra. While he's yelling at Vyra on the phone, the garage door opens by itself. Indy goes to check the garage, which is more like a storeroom. There sits the same sofa on which Grandpa breathed his last. Indy clearly sees Grandpa's death through Bandit's eyes, and after that terrifying vision, he even wets the floor in fear. Just then, behind him rises the same mud-covered man, and the screen cuts to black. Indy is nowhere to be seen, so Todd starts looking, and finds Indy behind the basement door, covered in mud. That entity must have brought him there and locked him in. Todd bathes and cleans Indy, but he keeps coughing blood. So while cleaning, he soils Indy again with blood. Understand, this is his final time. He goes to the hospital for scans. The doctor bluntly says it's too late. Todd is ready to try any experiment to save his life, even a tiny chance. But the doctor says nothing can be done. That makes Todd even angrier. And here, Indy catches a glimpse of that entity inside Todd. Back home, Todd tries spiritual methods, but the entity appears, and all the candles blow out on their own. Indy sees the entity, and sees his master falling apart, just like Bandit must have seen before. At night, Indy sees someone again and follows to investigate. He sees light coming from the basement, and someone is whistling, calling him down. He peeks and sees Todd lying there, who suddenly blinks and runs up to him, and Indy wakes up. Another nightmare. As soon as he wakes, someone pulls him from under the bed. It's Todd, huddled in a corner. The shadow is roaming inside the house, and this time finally Todd notices something. As we often see in horror movies, humans notice very late. Then the same entity strokes Indy's head, so Indy bites the hand, and the hand is Todd's. As soon as this happens, Todd moves away from Indy, exactly what the entity wanted. Now the entity pounces on Todd and he falls, meaning Todd is now fully possessed. Before Indy can do anything, the door slams shut. But Indy has to do something, so he escapes out the window and runs to Richard's house. When they picked up the generator, Indy learned the route. But one thing he didn't know, Richard's traps. He gets caught in one. Before he can reach Richard, possessed Todd arrives, frees him and takes him back, but not inside the house. He ties Indy to the outside doghouse. After a while, it starts raining, but instead of hiding in the doghouse, Indy sits on top of it watching Todd inside the house, seeing how his condition is getting worse. This is the night his life will end. In the forest, glowing eyes appear, and their mystery is solved. They are a fox's eyes, meaning a fox was sitting inside the hollow tree, hiding from Richard. Richard is also a dark figure to the fox, and in the same way, Indy is avoiding a dark figure. Where Todd is, that dark figure is also visible. Indy keeps focused on it, but in the blink of an eye, it comes down to attack Indy. As soon as it grabs him, Indy hides inside the doghouse, so the entity pushes a hand up from the ground to grab him. Indy slips out and moves away, so the entity starts yanking his chain. Before it can pull him in, Indy rams the doghouse at full speed, flips it and breaks free of the chain. Still, there's no way inside the house. But then the outside basement door opens on its own. On the stairs, Indy finds Bandit's skeleton. This makes it clear Bandit didn't run away, he was trapped in the basement. He tried very hard to get out but failed, so he died sitting right there on the stairs. But his spirit is still in this house, and is helping Indy. No one had opened this door till today. Otherwise, the stain on Bandit would have been cleared long ago, that he wasn't loyal. Upstairs, Todd's life is about to end. The entity is coming toward him, but before that, Indy arrives. Todd hugs him, and we see Todd's behavior has become like before, and the reason will shock you just like it shocks Todd. As soon as Todd turns, he sees his own corpse on the bed. Yes, Todd is dead. This is Todd's spirit, which Indy can see, and the spirit can touch him. With Todd's death, half the work is done. To finish the rest, the entity arrives. It chains Todd's neck and drags him down to the basement. Indy follows, but doors keep closing. Somehow, just in time, he reaches down through the outside door and sees an old cave from where Todd's screams are coming. meaning the entity wanted Todd's soul from the start. So it's not just the house that's cursed, the whole family is cursed. The entity has imprisoned the soul of every family member, and soon, there will be a family meetup. When Grandpa transferred the house to Todd before dying, the curse also transferred to Todd. That's why he got sick, and his circumstances pushed him to live here. Meaning Vira will also be targeted, if not today then tomorrow, because the entity follows their bloodline. For the entity, Indy is a problem because he can already see it. So the entity somehow separated Indy from Todd, after which its job got easier. Now Todd's soul has gone into its cave like a slave. But Indy still doesn't give up. He enters the cave and somehow pulls Todd's soul out, which angers the entity even more. It fully takes over the soul. Indy keeps trying, so Todd tells him, "You're a good dog, but you can't save me. You have to stay here." As soon as he says this, the soul is pulled inside the cave, and Indy is left alone, just like Bandit must have been. But something good happens for Indy. Worried about her brother, Vira arrives the next morning and takes Indy with her. Bandit wasn't that lucky. Though the entity whistles like Todd to stop Indy, Indy understands Todd's last words, so he goes with Vira. And with that, the movie ends. The movie is a completely new concept about a haunted house and possession. There's a lot of new stuff to see, no doubt. But because it doesn't focus on humans, the movie is also very slow. Dialogues are minimal. Not everyone can watch this, and I don't recommend it for everyone. There are many shortcomings. There are plot holes too. But because it's an experiment, we won't talk about those. The simple story is that there's a cursed family haunted by an old entity, probably because they built the house in the wrong place. From the human perspective, the story looks different, and from the dog's perspective, it looks completely new, which makes it a totally fresh take. I don't want to pick faults, so let's directly talk about some interesting facts. This is Ben Leinberg's debut movie as a director, and direction-wise, there's no lack here. Indy is also Ben's own pet dog. Understand this. Shooting with kids and animals is very hard because you can't control them. That's why shooting this movie took over 400 days, spanning 3 years, because every scene was on the dog. No one can imagine how challenging the shoot was. In the movie, not a single living human face is shown. We see Grandpa on TV after he's already dead, and Todd's face appears right at the end, because by then he's dead and a spirit. Since the news of this movie came out, it's been hyped. People kept searching only one thing. Does the dog die in Good Boy? The answer, of course, came after watching the movie, and its ending broke many hearts. Some critics called it one of the most heartbreaking horror films of 2025. At the same time, another movie named Good Boy went viral. Its concept is totally different. Indy really does like watching movies. His favorite ones are Challengers, The Birds, The Thing, and Air Bud. The company that produced this movie is named What's Wrong with Your Dog. It was released by IFC and Shudder, and it has become their third highest grossing movie, meaning third among their all-time highest earners. Above it are In a Violent Nature and Late Night with the Devil, both new experiments. Below it are Oddity, When Evil Lurks, and Experiments. On Rotten Tomatoes, the movie is 91% fresh. These were some unheard facts. I hope you liked them. If you enjoyed the video, hit like and comment what you thought of the movie. For more interesting videos, subscribe to the channel and set the bell to all. So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye to everyone.